I'm going to stay with the mountain streamy type paintings, apart from trying to get the water right, or a method of making it more realistic than I have been. I remember seeing a watercolour, beautiful little watercolour in a shop in Keswick at Lake Windermere in the Lake District. It was many years ago, and it was typical rain cloud coming across the mountains, and it was so beautiful and so simple. Yeah, we all know that simple is difficult. Trying to distill the essential things into one or two statements and subordinate everything else is what art's all about in my mind. So I'm going to try it, but I want sunlight to shine on some trees here, as I have been doing. I've just changed the foreground a little bit and the shape of the mountains, but essentially it's just a variation of a theme. Now, I did make a comment on in the note on my video that's uploading at the moment, that living in South London suburb of Wallington, looking up I can see some tops of buildings, I can see some grey skies. I can't see mountains, and I can't see tumbling rivers, and I can't see great vistas of wildebeest. So I am making my own reality by producing these pictures of where I'd like to be. It's idealism, probably isn't great art, but hey, it's my corner of it. So I'll wet the paper all over. I'll use the usual palette of lemon yellow, raw sienna, light red, ultramarine, burnt umber, Payne's grey. Anything I've missed out? Payne's grey and burnt sienna. I'm not using Payne's grey at the moment, but I'm making my greys from light red. Well, actually, I'm using four main colours: burnt sienna, lemon yellow, or is it lemon yellow? Yeah, lemon yellow, raw sienna, light red, and ultramarine. The burnt umber is a bit of an extra colour. So it's 1, 2, 3. Well, I'm not using a lot of alizarin, but I can do. But it's quite what we call a high key palette, so it hasn't got any deadening colours like Payne's grey in it. But Payne's grey is a good mixer, but I prefer to make my greys with the primaries. Right, so we'll put in the warmth, the raw sienna over all of that. It gives a unity, and it warms up the whole proceeding. You don't have to put every single bit of white in as yellow, but it acts as a warm cloud colour behind the clouds that you put on, or against the blue of the sky. But there wasn't a lot of blue in this, so we want a really good blue and red. Blue and red. There we go. Could do with really some liquid colours with this. Just a bit of water in there, just a little drop, not a lot. It's not running down the palette. Right, okay. So let's get that in. Coming across there. And darken the top. So this is coming over the mountain top. Now I'm going to reclip the paper now. See, the cloud colour is quite warm with the light red, and it does to a certain extent granulate. It would be more so if the paper was at 30 degrees rather than about 60 degrees. But it was this painting represented a storm, and it really attracted me. So let's get that raw. Now, this is where I want to put in my mountain, and I want it to bleed into that sky. Don't know if it will. Yeah. Bit of a lighter colour there. So we can put a bit of warm in there now, just as we're coming down into the tree line, or the just change these colours. This tree's going to go in there, but now I want to put in a backdrop to the tree, so I'm going to put in a bit of light catching the landscape below, so bluey green, but I want it quite light, similar to what I've just done, but some bluer greens as we're coming into this shadowy area. I don't know if that's going to work, it looks a bit iffy. Is that what there's to text me when I'm in the middle of painting a masterpiece? Okay, so let's get a bit of blue in there. I have found of late that as this paper dries, it's very good for dry brush work. I've misjudged it in the past, and we're losing a bit there. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Now I want to put in some landscape. I'm not going to be quite so fussy with it, with this landscape here. I put a rather lot of detail in the last one. This is coming into the light. I'll superimpose the rocks over this, and then we can do the same here. Bit of sienna, burnt sienna, warmer colours. Sorry if it seems if I'm doing the same thing, but I've got no photographs to work from for the moment. Well, I have, but I don't want to work them. I'm quite happy doing these made up, improvised scenes. We'll put some more rocky stuff in there. Right, let that go for a minute. Spin that around there. Bit of dark. Right, I'll just put in a few flicks and just a few flicks and flourishes. We can dry brush some over that in a minute. Now I want to just etch out some little rocks in here. I didn't do it very well last time, it was a bit too wet. Just going around the corner there. Right, reclip again. Whenever I'm painting, a cup of tea is never far away. So here we are. Well, we've got some rivers running down the edges of that mountain. That's I can't alter it at this stage because it will go in even worse cauliflowers. But it's drying nicely. So let's get in some nice, rich greens, like burnt sienna, lemon yellow and ultramarine. So we can just put in some bushy stuff here underneath the canopy of the trees that I'm going to put in there. Bit of red. So we'll get my little card and I'll etch into just a bit of that. Okay, I'm trying to make this just a little bit simplified to the last one. Okay, we'll work onto that. We've got some nice texture in here. Okay, get some rocks in there. Try to make these shapes as pleasing as possible, but it's also a little bit random. Okay. Rocks are lovely things to do, especially like this. We want a bit of a rock in here and a rock across here. Right. Etch. Keep the scraping on the top of the rock to catch the light. Right, I'm not going to put the rock there. I'm going to now texture some of this. Maybe we can put some pines. So blue, sienna, bit of yellow, blue, right, now we'll just a nice dark. So we can overdo it, but I'm just putting little branches with foliage on the pines. Leave some air. It's amazing how detailed you can get with this hake. There we go. Well, I'll anchor that. When I say anchor, I mean just put in some detail at the bottom. Well, I'll do some pines on the other side, I think. But I'll do these in blue. Just a few. Just a few darker bits on here because I don't want it to lose its spontaneity, but I don't want them to look like poles. Pick out a few. Just lift out some of that moisture there. Okay. And we'll put some on the other side. Just a bit warmer. I say warmer, I'm adding a bit of red to it. A bit harder. This side's going to be more dominant. Now I'll dry brush over this. Just remove some of the bottom of that. I can put a few harder bits in there as that dries. But we've got this area of light here, but what to do in there? I might just dry brush in some deciduous type trees. It's what you get a lot of in, say, Northumberland. The Kilda Forest, although you can't see the mountains that I can remember, but there's lots of pine forestations the Kilda forest, for example, it's a entirely man-made project when rich people were given, I think it was subsidies for growing pines on land. Pop singers sort of invested in it. It might have changed. But I'll put in a bit of greeny bluey dry brush on that. I need a richer dry brush on that. No, that's got a little bit, it was a bit damp. Too damp, I think. Right, that's there's a bit of texture in there, a bit of. Just a bit of grass. A bit of harder texture in here, a bit of brushwood, brushes and gorse. Something just to give an interest in the foreground. Well, I'll put a rock here. I'm going to dry that off a little bit. Hold your ears. I think I lost it a little bit there. I'll put some nice branches and trunks. So what I'm doing here is just trying to separate that from there by putting this harder. Right, so we've set that back a bit now. There's a little bit of texture in some of these rocks here. Right, now we've got to do this water. So we've got this nice bluey, greeny colour. Darker blue there. We'll put a bit of yellow underneath that while it's wet. Now we've got some broken water now as it's coming round here, so we've got the cloudy sky, so we'll paint the cloudy colour, dry brush. Right, that's the best I can do with that. that didn't quite work out as hoped, but no, I can't do much about that now. That's, I was hoping, well, I suppose I could risk it by re-wetting. I'll give it a good dry and I'll re-wet over here and see what happens, see if I can get another cloud over that. But this might be a disaster. So a bit of clean water and put in that nice dark sky cloud colour, blue and red. I think it's going to dry quite badly there. No, I think we lost it. Well, we'll see. Oops, we'll see what happens. Now let's just dry it. Well, we've lost a lot of the light around here, but I reckon with a bit of tissue I could put some sort of, what's that, a bit of cloud on here, but not too much, just take some of that out. No, I think when you're in a hole, stop digging. There's a case of that one. I don't really know what that's going to look like in a mount. I know one thing's for sure, that these things always look better online than they do in reality. I have to be honest. That isn't to say that a lot of what I paint, or any of this paint, is entirely enhanced by the computer. But it does make a difference. But that's lost a bit of its spontaneity there. So I'll put it in a mount and we'll just have a look. Shall we put a figure on it? I think a muddy start, muddy thinking ends up with a muddy picture. In this case, let's do a bit of a figure. Let's put one in here. Quite a large figure. Get a little fishing rod. his arm needs just a little bit of thickening up a little bit there. Just a little bit of still water there, but catching going into the current. Well, what light there is coming from there, isn't it? So let's just a little bit of a shadow there. Right, well there it is. Struggle with that, I have to say. Let's just move the camera in and see if we can get it straight. Right, zoom. So there's the mountain. I tried to lose it in that cloud, but it was a bit of a failure. But parts of the picture are not. The parts of the picture are reasonable. So there's the bank. Another river scene. Oh, it's not too bad. Got his waders on. And there are my pines on that side. They're not too bad. But generally I'm not really happy with it, but hey, it's another painting, isn't it? Getting more colourful. A bit muddy there, but that really is a disaster area. Thanks for persevering. Bye bye. Let's just move you back, and you can have a little gaze of that. See you later. Bye.